Hello, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube. My official gamer name is going to be Jazz1. You can contact me, right now over Nintendo Network. I'll be more than happy to accept any friend requests right now. Um, I'm currently playing online Tekken Tag Tournament 2. I'm getting kind of good at the game. I suppose I'm just, beating up a lot of noobs right now online, but I really want to see, what a person who has actually played the game for a while, who has actually mastered the game, how good, you know, that type of player is, because apparently I'm just coming across a lot of noobs. So right now my gamer tag is Jazz1, Jazwon. And if you will, look me up on Nintendo Network if you have a Wii U or 3DS, and I'll be more than happy to accept your friend request. This vid is a response to a vid that was done, and I'm sorry, I forget his name, but it's a guy over at GNTechTV. Okay, and the name of the vid was "It's Time for an Insurrection." What say you? Now, in the vid, he was talking about, everybody needs to go out and buy all three of the major systems, so that, we won't have a bias, and I guess we could have, an honest conversation. I don't think that needs to happen. What I think needs to happen is we need to voice our concerns to developers and to the big three, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, and let them know what it is that we do not want. I know another guy that I'm subscribed to personally myself, Shokyo. He was talking about this generation is poised to be the worst ever, based on some of what happened last generation. There was a lot of games that was released last generation, but there was some BS that came around. Namely, one was DLC, planned DLC. I think that's pretty much bullshit. Um, you know, Especially like multiplayer packs and things like that. That should have been included in the original game. Here it is. You have to pay extra money in order to have the full experience. And it gets worse. Say in fighting games. I know it happened. It happens with Injustice. I suppose a lot of people didn't complain, but still, those characters should have been on disc. Scorpion, Batgirl, and others. And then you have on disc DLC. The best example of that, of course, is all of you may know is Mass Effect 3 that was published by EA, done by BioWare. Which I'm going to say that for another video. To be Mass Effect, the Mass Effect series could have just defined a generation and redefined gaming. That could have been the holy grail of gaming. But that's going to be for another video. On this DLC, microtransactions, which they are already starting up with this gen. All you gotta do is take a look at Forza and another name of the game that's going to probably come to me later on. But I guess y'all know what I'm talking about. It's the Sword fighting game for Xbox One. It's going to come to me later on. I have a bad short-term memories. Terrible. But anyway, a lot of bullshit, started in the last gen and just carried over into this gen. And the worst of it so far was Battlefield 4. Good grief. The game was released broken. And as far as I know, to this day, there was nothing made. There was no offers made to the people who actually bought the software as a way of saying that they're sorry for the screw up that, pretty much that they've caused. We don't need to buy all three systems just for the sake of buying all three, so that we can have an honest discussion. What needs to happen is we need to gather and say, if you're not going to change your ways, then we are not going to buy your products. And to show that we're serious, sign a petition. I'm going to be starting up a petition. I don't know how, if anybody would pay attention to it, but the petition would be in the link below in the description, to where we demand that we have certain demands as gamers. And one of those demands be that games are released complete with no need for patches on day one. None whatsoever. 2, no on-disc DLC. And 3, no DLC that should be included in the main game. Okay? 4, if you want to have microtransactions, fine, but microtransactions should not be necessary. And that needs to be that needs to be a strong point. Microtransactions do not need to be necessary. If you want to, say, buy an extra item so they can beat a stage or buy a car, so be it. Go ahead and do that, okay? That's your money. But it should not be necessary for someone like me who has absolutely no interest in microtransactions to have to go through hell and back in order to get a special car. That's ridiculous. So, that's another thing. Consoles should work day one. Okay, there's no reason why we should have to download a day one patch. There is no reason. Okay, Microsoft did it with the Xbox One. They did it with the PS4. Although I'm not entirely sure whether or not you were able to play any games day one. I know with the Wii U, they had an update that was available day one, but you were still at least able to play games without having to go online and download. I know I didn't have an internet connection for about 4 or 5 months when I first bought my Wii U, and I was still able to play whatever I wanted to play. So, but I mean, that's not me excusing Nintendo, okay? Before y'all go off and say that I'm trying to give Nintendo a pass. No, I'm not. Nintendo still didn't need to have an update day one, okay? Period. That's all it is. We need to bring these demands up in a petition and have developers in the big three take notice and say, okay, we see that our consumer base are not bullshitting. Because I'm going to tell you this, these companies, they really don't care about you, but they do care about your money. And that's something that you need to understand. And me personally, look, I work hard for this little bit of chump change that I get every week. And then I want to go put it down on the game so that I can relax at the end of the day. And here, I have to sit here and wait to download a patch. I don't want that bullshit. I work too hard for my money. And I'm sure that a lot of you out there who, especially if you don't have to depend on YouTube, and even if you have to depend on YouTube, your time and your effort is far too valuable to sit here and waste time on downloading a patch or have to sit through another game that crashed. Okay? You're not even able to enjoy your game. You can't even enjoy your game. And you popped out $60 on these titles, and then these developers want to get upset and say, well, why is nobody buying our product? Perhaps because you're not trustworthy. I mean, another example that I could bring up, the last Elder Scrolls game that came out, Skyrim. that game you had to download patches up the yin yang. And if you had a PS3 version of the game, good luck. You are screwed. Good luck. So I mean, we need to bring up our concerns up to these developers and let them know what it is that we want, and let them know that we will not tolerate these demands not being met. Now, I've heard word go around that this upcoming March, a lot of games supposed to be released for the PS4, Xbox One, and I'm not sure about the Wii U, but I know that within the spring, I know more than likely Mario Kart 8's coming out. I don't know when their other titles are coming out. But we need to take a real hard look at these titles that are coming out. And if most of these titles have to have patches, or if Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo have to have yet another update in order to fully enjoy the experience of these consoles, then I believe that what we need to do is take them back en masse to Walmart, to Best Buy, to GameStop, and say, hey, we're going to return this merchandise. And when the developers demonstrate, that they're going to meet our demands, that they're not going to bullshit us with DLC and having us to waste our time with downloading patches, or be frustrated with another crash game, and they begin to see that they take us seriously, then we can begin to see our gaming experience change. And then at the very least, we can begin to talk shit about each other concerning our own consoles, okay? But until then, nobody's winning. Don't fool yourself. You're not winning. Look at the patches that you had to download just for your systems alone. You should not have to download. I know at least 3 patches, had to be downloaded for the PS4 and the Xbox One already. God knows how many for the Wii U. Although, yet again, I have to say, the Wii U is still playable. Most of the games are still playable, and there were not many real problems. But yet and still, we should not have to have these patches to download onto our systems in order to fully enjoy it. We should not have huge hard drives. Well, no, I'm sorry. Delete that. There's some indie titles that we may want to download. Completely delete that. My apologies. Didn't mean that. But I believe that's what needs to happen. I think that's the insurrection that needs to take place. So, here's my challenge to each of you gamers. What say you? Are you willing to put your money where your mouth is and demand developers to meet our demands? Or are you just going to say, oh well, ho hum, and buy whatever it is that they put out anyway and just be sheep? If you're willing to, if you're just going to be sheeple, notice I said sheeple. I combine sheep with people. You're just going to crowd and just feed on whatever it is that is being fed to you. If you're going to do that, then hey, I guess you deserve what you get coming to you, and you have no right to complain. You have none. We got to take action. This is Jazz on over at Dick the Gamers channel. Y'all have a beautiful day.